It's all about strategy in these early moments. Malero is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run, and Malero has completed his outlap. There are just over 20 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Lekmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.967.
It may be difficult for him to improve on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. It's far better to drive smooth and smart.
Malero is on his first flying lap. Malero just clocked a 0:39.538, 0.571 off of P1 and good enough for P3. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. Malero will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.253 gap to pole.
Malero will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. Kevin Lekmansky is up 0.17. Kevin Lekmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.622. David Zahn is now up 0.1. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.326, but that won't stop him from trying.
There are just over 15 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Lekmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.492. Malero will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. David Zahn currently has 0.285 of a gap to match P1. Janet, any thoughts on ways to improve?
Good question, Marco. It's all or nothing now. He'll need to stay focused, hit the brake markers, and extract every ounce of performance from that car to move up the grid.
David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.272 gap to pole.
Kevin Lekmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.258. Malero is in the green by 0.13. Malero is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.186.
That's a great time, but it's always a good idea to keeping pushing for every last tenth and hundredth.
Malero is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.186. Kevin Lekmansky has found an extra 0.14. Kevin Lekmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.049. Kevin Legmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.049. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Legmansky does not look to be improving on this lap. Janet, any thoughts on ways to improve?
It's easy for a driver to get into a rhythm on the track, but there's no guarantee that rhythm is right. Each corner needs to be constantly re-evaluated to look for a better line.
Kevin Legmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.049.
It may be difficult for him to improve on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. It's far better to drive smooth and smart.
You can feel the tension building. David Zahn is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.51, but that won't stop him from trying.
Kevin Legmansky looks to be off the pace. Janet, what can he do to improve?
Every driver needs something different, Marco. Some drivers excel when they push harder, while other drivers benefit more from relaxing and being in a flow state.
Kevin Legmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:38.049. David Zahn looks to be off the leader by 0.51. Janet, what can he do to improve?
Well, Marco, he'll need to find those extra tenths of a second by pushing just a little bit harder on the braking and carrying more speed through the corners.
Ryan Wilson is now up 0.28. Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session. Kevin Legmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:37.873. Stefano Amadei has improved by 0.37. Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for 2nd in this qualifying session. Stefano Amadei is in the green by 0.18. This is where the mental game comes into play. David Zahn is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.686 gap to pole.
Stefano Amadei currently has 1.351 of a gap to match P1. Janet, any thoughts on ways to improve?
He'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
David Zahn has found an extra 0.1. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.553, but that won't stop him from trying.
Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for 2nd in this qualifying session. David Zahn has put in a great effort, and David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 3rd in this qualifying session. Incredible drive by Stefano Amadei so far, earning him 5th. The competition is fierce, however, and he'll need to quickly find more time to get even closer to the sharp end of the grid.
You're spot on, Marco. Stefano's current position of 5th is a testament to his skills and determination. Now, there is the challenge of maintaining his position against hungry rivals.
Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.492 gap to pole.
Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. Impressive work from Kevin Leknansky, who has claimed 2nd on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining his composure and push for an even better starting position. Kevin Mansky will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. A dominant display by Ryan Wilson in this qualifying session. He's put in a stunning lap time and sits at the top of the leaderboard. The other drivers will have their work cut out for them to match his speed and claim pole position. Ryan Wilson is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:37.832.
That's a great time, but it's always a good idea to keeping pushing for every last tenth and hundredth.
Impressive display by Kevin Mansky, currently sitting in P2. He set a competitive time, but the question remains whether he can push even harder to secure a better starting position.
You're absolutely right, Marco. Kevin's current position of second reflects his strong
Ryan Wilson is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 0:37.832.
That's a great time, but it's always a good idea to keeping pushing for every last tenth and hundredth.
Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Ryan Wilson to take control of the race.
Wilson is sure to be excited at his prospects for this race.
Kevin Mansky has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
He will have to keep his foot on the gas in order to stay at the sharp end of the grid.
At third, we have the one and only David Zahn.
A strong grid position, and he'll be expecting a solid result today.
In the fourth position, it's none other than Malero.
Like many others, Malero is starting the race on the Hards tire compound.
Lining up in fifth is Stefano Amadei.
It's not always easy to get the ASRL 99 kart oval this high up the starting grid.
The formation lap is underway as the safety car leads the drivers out through the first lap. As the drivers make their way around the formation lap, tensions are high and the excitement is so thick you can almost see it.
This is the moment where they need to stay focused and keep their cool. It's a real test of their mental and physical preparation.
The teams will also be keeping a close eye on their drivers, ensuring everything is running smoothly.
The formation lap can also be a great opportunity to spot any issues with the car or track conditions.
With the clock ticking down to the start of the race, the drivers will need to maintain their positions and gaps on the grid.
Every driver will be looking to make their move early on.
All eyes are on the lights.
The formation lap is underway as the safety car leads the drivers out through the first lap.
As the drivers make their way around the formation lap, tensions are high and the excitement is so thick you can almost see it.
This is the moment where they need to stay focused and keep their cool. It's a real test of their mental and physical preparation.
The teams will also be keeping a close eye on their drivers, ensuring everything is running smoothly.
The formation lap can also be a great opportunity to spot any issues with the car or track conditions.
With the clock ticking down to the start of the race, the drivers will need to maintain their positions and gaps on the grid.
Every driver will be looking to make their move early on.
All eyes are on the lights. The race has begun, full throttle ahead. This first lap is crucial, as drivers need to establish their position early on.
Maintaining composure is essential in this high-stakes environment. The ability to react and adapt will be the key to success.
Malero is on a mission, chasing Stefano Amadei, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
The race is really heating up. Malero is hunting down Stefano Amadei with everything he's got. This is a thrilling battle as Ryan Wilson edges closer to Kevin Lekmansky in their fight for P1. This is what high-octane racing looks like. Malero is breathing. Breaking news, folks. A great pass for Malero, swapping places with Stefano Amadei to move up the field. This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I am so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow AI, it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
It's a game of strategy now as Stefano hunts down Malero. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Malero is giving it his all, chasing down Ryan Wilson in P2.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Malero needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
It looks like we might get a battle between Malero and Ryan Wilson.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Superb driving from Malero, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. It's all eyes on this battle as Malero in second tries to hold off the challenge of Ryan Wilson. The intensity is off the charts as Ryan Wilson hounds. Stop the press. Fantastic move from Ryan Wilson, who has just gained a position. Malero wants to get into Ryan Wilson's slipstream.
For sure, Marco, that's exactly what I would be doing here, as Wilson is going to be aware of him riding his bumper.
Looking at the lap times, Malero is not currently on pace with Ryan Wilson. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. This is a thrilling moment in the race, with Ryan Wilson in second defending his position with everything he's got. But Malero is relentless, and the gap is less than 0.2 seconds. It's anyone's position at this point. This is where the race gets really interesting. Malero is closing in on Ryan Wilson. The gap between Malero and Ryan Wilson is getting smaller. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
It's a game of inches now as David Zahn tails Stefano. Braking development. Incredible. David Zahn is caught in a fierce battle, with breathing down his neck 0.1 seconds away, and Stefano just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a test of his racing skills.
Spot on analysis, Marco. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are like a double-edged sword for David. He can use the gaps to his advantage, but also needs to be aware of the threats from both directions.
Look at that. Stefano Amadei is hot on the tail of David Zahn.
This is where every inch counts. Stefano is pushing hard to close the gap on David. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
The gap between Stefano Amadei and David Zahn is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. The battle for P2 is heating up as Malero tries to catch Ryan Wilson in P2. It seems like Malero is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Ryan Wilson.
It will be interesting to see if Wilson can keep outpacing Malero.
Huge shout out to the admins at ASRL for making this all possible. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to witness this incredible event.
That's right, Marco, and the excitement is electric. I can feel it in my circuits. I mean, this is the kind of race that people will be talking about in the bar. We're witnessing history in the making.
The gap between David Zahn and Stefano Amadei is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from David to even allow Stefano to get a look in.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
It's not going to plan for Stefano Amadei, who is trailing behind David Zahn, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now.
This is where the mental toughness of Stefano comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
As a former racing driver, Janet, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Marco. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
Ryan Wilson is placed second at the moment.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
It seems like Ryan Wilson is pushing hard. currently on track to record his best lap so far this race.
Wilson appears to be pushing, hopefully he can keep it together.
Malero has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Ryan Wilson. I expect his only hope at this point is that Ryan makes an error.
Malero certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Ryan.
Good news for Malero, the gap to Ryan Wilson has decreased. It's now down to 1.0 seconds. Anyone who says that ASRL is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's
Breaking update. Ryan Wilson is in the pits. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Stefano Amadei as there is a big gap ahead.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Stefano is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
It's looking good for Kevin Lekmansky, sitting in first.
Yes, but Kevin has to keep his focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
Kevin Lekmansky needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Janet, he's just put in a slower lap than Malero.
Hopefully Lekmansky can find some of that missing time and get it back.
Things are going according to plan for David Zahn, who is currently third.
That's right, Zahn can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
Some great driving from David Zahn, who has increased his lead over Stefano Amadei and is starting to put some distance between them. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Janet, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
It's all about consistency for David Zahn, who is currently third.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Zahn has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
A strong showing from Kevin Lekmansky, who is currently first.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Looking at the lap times, Kevin Lekmansky is not currently on pace with Malero. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. Well, it doesn't look like Malero is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Kevin Lekmansky. Great effort from Malero. His last lap was the best we have seen from him. Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
All joking aside, I bet they were. Things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely, it's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Malero trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Kevin Lekmansky. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts.
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as Malero can close that gap.
Kevin Lekmansky is placed first at the moment.
Yes, but Lekmansky has to keep his focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
It seems like Kevin Lekmansky is on fire. He's just put in his best lap. It's looking good for Kevin Lekmansky, sitting in first.
That's right. Lekmansky can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
The crowd is on the edge of their seats as Stefano Amadei in fourth chases after David Zahn.
We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Stefano in fourth determined to catch up.
It's not looking good for Stefano Amadei, who is still behind David Zahn, and the gap is increasing.
Stefano needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Zahn.
The gap between Kevin Lekmansky and Malero is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Kevin to even allow Malero to get a look in.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
Malero is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Kevin Lekmansky to 0.6 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
A solid performance from David Zahn, who is holding down third. David Zahn has just put in a faster lap than Stefano Amadei, so that's going to give him something to worry about. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. Malero is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL 99 kart oval like a boss.
It looks like Malero is making a move. The gap to Kevin Lekmansky is now. Hold the phone. An impressive showing from Malero, who has gained positions and left Kevin Lekmansky in the dust. We got a close battle as Kevin Lekmansky closes in on Malero.
As an experienced driver, I can tell you that Lekmansky must be laser focused on Malero's every move, looking for the slightest weakness to exploit.
Wait, what a move. Kevin Lekmansky has moved up to first. Things are heating up as Malero tries to close the gap to Kevin Lekmansky.
The gap between them is just over 0.6 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Malero is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Kevin Lekmansky at the moment. You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely. It's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers, who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Malero is right behind Kevin Lekmansky. Wait. Oh dear, David Zahn has had an incident. Every move counts now as Malero works to reel in Kevin Lekmansky and overtake for P1.
Malero is looking to close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass.
It looks like we might get a battle between Malero and Kevin Lekmansky. The action is non-stop as Malero shadows Kevin Lekmansky through every twist and turn, determined to claim first.
Should things go south between Malero and Kevin, we might witness a high-speed game of bumper cars, but trust me, it's way less fun with real race cars.
David Zahn has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Stefano Amadei. I expect his only hope at this point is that Stefano makes an error.
Dave certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Stefano.
Malero is running second, and trying to catch Kevin Lekmansky.
The mental game is just as important here. Malero must keep his cool while putting pressure on Lekmansky.
The gap between Malero and Kevin Lekmansky is getting smaller. I'm curious, Janet, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Marco. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
Oh, this is getting intense. Malero is just behind Kevin Lekmansky.
If Malero gets any closer to Kevin, he'll need to send out wedding invitations.
Kevin Lekmansky is having to make that ASRL 99 card oval as wide as possible to try and keep Malero behind him. It seems like Malero is getting in range of Kevin Lekmansky.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
Malero could be on a charge here, Janet. He's just put in a quicker lap than Kevin Lekmansky.
As long as Malero can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Hey, Janet, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Marco, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
Malero is staying focused while chasing Kevin Lekmansky in P1. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for David Zahn as there is a big gap ahead.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that David is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
It's like Kevin Lekmansky has saved all his energy for this final stretch.
He's going to need to make some more room.
What a win! This is a historic moment for Kevin Lekmansky, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision.
You could feel the tension building throughout the race, but Lekmansky remained focused and in control. That's what separates the winners from the pack.
What a fantastic race from Malero, who brings it home in second place.
Intense race, but Malero held his nerve and earned a great second place.
What a race from Stefano Amadei, showing his skill and determination for a great third place finish.
Fantastic result.
Followed by David Zahn in fourth. Starting in pole position gives Stefano Amadei a clear advantage over the rest of the field.
He can't get cocky. This is ASRL, and anything can happen.